So hello, welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of On the Knuckle. I'm Gaz Beggsy. I've got Adam Begg alongside me, and we're here to talk about the first World Cup halfpipe of the season last week in Secret Garden. So, Beggsy, how's it going?
Good. As usual, we're sitting here. It seems like every time we seem to be sitting together, we've just been snowboarding. So I'll take that. We just had a couple of morning laps here at Copper. Had pipe qualies yesterday, which was good, which we'll cover off in a future episode. But yeah, let's get into Secret Garden.
Yeah, so for context, we're midway through Copper. We had the qualies yesterday. Today's our day off. We got finals tomorrow. We had a good little ride this morning. Had some fresh snow overnight. It all got blown off and was kind of sketchy for the actual riding. But the pipe contest worked pretty well. We'll come to that in the next episode for sure. We're here to talk about last week. But before we get into that, Olympic Excitometer. Last week, Beggsy, you were about the 7. You're still kind of hyped. Is it still continuing that trajectory, or is it dipped? Is it risen?
It's risen. I'll go an 8.
Go an 8.
Yeah, we've just watched 3 days of solid pipe riding, and to see that stuff live, it gets you excited. So I'm ready for it.
I totally agree. I was at a 4 last time out. I was pretty exhausted, I think, from the weekend of commentary and judging. Having done back-to-back 3 big airs in a row, it's really exciting to see pipe again. I think pipe is just something so special to watch, whether you're a judge, spectator, whatever. Like, it's just so rhythmic and artistic. It's just really feels like still one of the best disciplines we have. So that was really cool to see. So I'm probably back up into the positives, probably around a 6 still. Still homesick, still can't wait to get back for a tiny break, but we're on the up. That's always positive.
Totally.
So let's get into Secret Garden in China. So we were there 2 weeks prior for the big air, then we had the Beijing big air, and then a couple of the crew went back for the halfpipe. Talk to us about the Secret Garden Stuntage.
We've spoken about it a little bit before. It's got the nice wind wall up the back. It's probably one of the better shaped pipes in the world. It's quite big. It's always got a good dish. We've spoken about how it was designed so that the sun sort of bakes both walls evenly. I think this time around it was -20 the day we left, and Snow League was pretty fresh for that. And then same with the Secret Garden. The temperatures were there. It was definitely quite cold. I believe that the sun, due to the way the sun comes in the afternoon, they lose visibility for those first 2 hits at about 1:30. So that, for this one, forced them to go to double up and do a slightly different format. But resulting from that, they took a few more to the finals. I think the shape was good. From all accounts, it was a really good pipe. Some people are saying it was slightly bigger than this one, but definitely, good dish, and all the athletes were really enjoying it.
And they changed that wind wall down the rider's left side. You used to have the Olympic rings on there. They've actually redone it this year, so it's now a fresh, non-Olympic ring branded wall, which is sick because in the past, videos from Secret Garden used to get taken down on YouTube due to copyright reasons, et cetera, et cetera. So at least now we can actually see the footage again and again and again. But as we say, went to double up for the men's. I think it's always good if you do in double up, like they did last week, to take more men through to the finals just to make for that top 14, top 15 rank a little bit more accurate.
Totally. It softens the cut a little bit. And like you said, it's either, for me, if we go to double up, I think we should either have semis or take a few extra. So whatever.
And maybe the OC have listened to the few episodes of On the Knuckle where we've mentioned top 6 or top 7 goes a lot better than top 5. But anyway, we'll get to that very, very shortly. So should we get into women's qualifications?
Yes, let's.
So into women's qualies, obviously Beggsy and myself were not there. We were in Steamboat for the big air. What we did, we had Andrew Regley, one of our top judges, who's here this week in Cup with us. He ran us through the whole of the contest. So we're bringing you all the information from the judges' perspective, as well as what we saw when we watched stuff after the fact sort of thing. So women's qualies day, or the whole qualies day, Pipe was riding really nicely. Weather was on point. Set a really good stage for the whole week.
Totally. And I think the riding showed that. So this one, I think there was 13 riders trying 9s in the pipe in the women. The pipe was riding good, and the girls were really sort of throwing down. I was talking to Andrew, and he said the amount of switch backside is really impressive, how many girls are sort of stepping to that. So we saw a number of girls doing that. I think Karol went switchback 3. Barney and Jayu both did switch backside airs. Brooke did a switchback alley-oop. There's definitely a lot of riders stepping to the switchback side.
And that switchback direction is something that in the past has been a little bit overlooked. We've seen a lot more front cab and backside tricks in the runs. And this has been the consensus from the riders in terms of the variety criteria, that they want to see runs with all 4 directions, plus alley-oops, etc., get rewarded for that variety side of things. So really, really excited to see the women stepping up and pushing that switch backside avenue as much as they did. It was also a huge field of women. We had 32 women. There was only 36 men, just for kind of contrast. We usually end up with 2 heats of men and 1 heat of women. So this was the kind of the first time it's been quite closely balanced between the two. And as you say, women pretty much threw down the whole time.
Yeah. Let's look at some standouts from qualies.
So I guess first one you got to look at, first one out, Elizabeth Hoskins from Canada. Not a new name to the World Cup Tour at all. She's been here a bunch over the past few seasons. Always one of the riders that really starts to push the amplitude a little bit. This time out was a little bit under-rotated on the back 5, had a little bit of a landing wobble on the front side 7, and then kind of missed that amplitude on the Harkin flip as well. And then finished the front 9, but had poor execution. So had the trick difficulty there, but didn't quite have the execution, the amplitude to really get her up into finals.
Yeah, it sounded like just a couple of little instabilities and then the amplitude, which is a huge one when it comes to that.
Amplitude's always the big kind of the obvious or the most objective thing you look at when you see a piper.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty split between her and Ruki Tomita. Yeah, so it was very close. I think it was probably even a split panel looking at the scores back from that. And talking to the crew that were there, it looks like Ruki won the execution and Elizabeth just sort of had the difficulty, but it was execution and amplitude that sort of came through for that one and just slightly gave it to Ruki.
So yeah, so quite a good qualification. There's not too many more notable standouts because most of our notable standouts from qualies did end up in the finals. We took 10 women through into finals, which is really exciting just given the standard of women's rider. Great to have more of them in that kind of finals TV show. So should we get straight into finals?
So one of the standouts for the women was Surana Ohashi from Japan, and she went cab 7, front 7, cab 10, front 5, back 5. Her execution still needs refining, but the difficulty's there. And this is someone that we haven't seen a lot of. She just sort of came out with what's already quite a difficult refined run.
Yeah, which is sick to see. And you kind of expect this a little bit from the Japanese. So really cool to see Sonato Hashi in there as well. She did a huge strength and depth in numbers from the Japanese side. Did try the front 9 on run 1, crashed on that and kind of sensibly brought it down a little bit to do the front 5 on run 2 just to get a run on the board. A relatively unknown rider, kind of one of the first World Cup appearances, getting a cab 10 on that run 1 kind of sets the benchmark of what to look out for in the future.
Totally. Another one that's throwing 9s and 10s. So there's definitely more girls stepping to those bigger, more difficult tricks. It's good to see.
Yeah, I feel like the progression on women's is just skyrocketing, which is awesome to see. Another one that was just out as a kind of notable standout, Xiaotang Wu. She was in 4th place, just off the podium. Another one that had that switchback 5 in to tick the switch backside direction in there. Then went cab 7, then the backside alley-oop, backside 5, frontside 7 melon. So really nice variety in terms of ticking off all 4 primary directions, still having that alley-oop in there as well. Just lacked a little bit of grab variety. Everything was mute. Everything was between the bindings, which is kind of the only thing you could really kind of pull down. But that's the sort of
front hand grabbing. So that sort of drops it. But like you said, the variety to have a 5th hit in there is really good.
Yeah.
Or 5th direction. Sorry.
5th direction, yeah. Which is sick. And we're kind of looking at that like it's just adding to that variety. And that's, as we said before, that's what the general community wants to see. They still want to see all the other criteria hit, but the variety is kind of the big separator, as it were, this season.
For sure. And that takes us to the podium. So in 3rd, we have Tonton Jutong Kai from China. So on home soil, good for her to knock up another podium in the pipe.
Yeah, and she had, again, a good variety run, missing the switch backside rotation, but did have the air to fakie and the backside alley-oop rodeo 5, which is something we've seen kind of almost been a bit of a staple part of Tonton's runs for the past 2-3 years. That air to fakie mid-run is just beautiful. Yeah. This time put it through at the start of the run, then went cab 7, front 9, back 5, and then the backside alley-oop rodeo. So good variety of tricks, maybe just lacking that technical difficulty to kind of get herself up into the top 2 in terms of only had the 1-9 in there. But the alley-oop and the air to fakie did at least bring up with the variety, and her amplitude's always pretty consistent.
Totally. She hangs it out on that air to fakie. It's like you said, it's beautiful. She gets up there and the difficulty's not there, but the amplitude definitely is. And looking at that, there was a really big jump from Xiaotan Wu with the 67 up to the 80.5 of Tonton. So with that one, the podium was definitely clear cut. There was those top three were streaks ahead.
Cool. So that takes us into 2nd place. We have Rise Kudo, who again started her World Cup career last year, so still relatively new to the World Cup Tour as it were, was the Japanese national champion from the year before. Stepped to World Cup last year and came in straight away, front 9, back 9, front 7, cab 7, front 10. So back-to-back 9s, insane combo to start the run, finishing with a front 10 as well. Has the tricks for sure. Again, lacking that switch backside direction a little bit, but other than that, difficulties
Pretty good
there,
run, yeah.
execution's there.
997, 10 run, and I think it was just a short grab on the back nine from looking at that one. And yeah, the actual, like you say, the difficulties there, the progressions there, the combos there. He is really good for a young up and comer. I think she's going to be one to watch in these coming next 4 pipe comps.
Yeah, still 4 pipe comps to go before we get to the Olympics. So that takes us to our winner, who had a very similar level of amplitude to Rise Kudo, Gaon Joy. And I feel like we're now coming into the Gaon era.
Oh yeah, wow, that was quite a run. We spoke switch backside before, but she seems to have not only switch backside but the bigger rotations. She's got switchback nines. I've heard stories of her spinning higher at training camps over summer. I think this one she went switchback 7, back 9 stale, front 10 melon, cap 7 drunk driver, and into a front 7 indie. So all good grabs, good execution. Last year she had some technical tricks, but some of the execution and the grabs were lacking. This year she seems to have cleaned that up, and yeah, she really came out swinging in this first one.
Yeah, like her grabs and all the rotations were perfect, pretty much. The only one that was slightly short was the front end, but everything else was like she still got the grab at least. So she's ticking all the criteria. Has all 4 directions, has the technical difficulty, her amplitude solid. It's progressive as one of those that's put in like the switchback 7 to back 9 as and front 10 as a back-to-back-to-back combo start of the run is up there with the best that we've seen in women's pipe.
Yeah, totally. And it ticks all the boxes. Progressions there, difficulties there, amplitude's coming, and now the execution's there with the grab. So she's going to be a tough one to beat if she keeps dropping runs like that.
And it looks like that might be the case in Copa. She qualified first in women's qualies yesterday, so obviously we'll see how that pans out in finals tomorrow. But that's Copa. We'll get to that in the next episode for sure. Sweet. Anything else on the women's, or should we crack over into the men's?
Let's have a look at the men's.
Men's was a heater, should we say. So again, they had the same qualifications kind of conditions. Pipe was running really nicely. Pipe was running quick. Amplitude wasn't an issue. Weather was perfect. As we say, I had to split into the double up just because of that kind of time limitation, which is always a frustration that we've had to deal with. We dealt with it in Big Air in terms of doing the best run council qualies. Having to do double up is never, like, double up sucks. Do you want to take us through what double up is, just in terms of if anyone's unfamiliar with what the format is?
Sure. So basically with double up, it allows us to get a comp run in a shorter period of time. So when we backed into a corner with weather, daylight, this time it was the sun blocking it. But basically what can happen is we split our panel of 6. So instead of having a panel of 6 and dropping high and low score and getting the average of the rest of the scores, we go to split the panel and we run what's called double ups. We split the panel into 3 and 3, and then the riders drop. What we try and do is watch the first sort of 5 or 6 runs together so we can help set our scale and hopefully mesh the heats together well. But we watch the first 5 or 6 together, and then they basically break into 2 separate comps. So while team 1's judging, team 2's waiting, then they're judging, and the next person's on course. So it constantly keeps the rider on course. There's a lot going on. There's people dropping all the time. There's 2 different panels working simultaneously in the booth. There's just a lot going on. And yeah, I think it's not ideal as a format. We lose that whole drop high and low score. So any outlier scores then become part of the rank. There's obviously a time pressure there because we've gone to that format for a reason. So we have less chance to go back to replays. That 20 to 25 seconds we talk about judging a run usually often is definitely shorter when we go to double up.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of time trying to work between the 2 panels to make sure that those scores coming in lower down the ranks outside of finals matches quite closely. So what's a 60 in run 1 or heat 1 matches a 60 in heat 2. And that's where the kind of the preparation coming into the whole event really kind of pays off, sort of thing. But it does mean a little bit more talking, concentration, harder for you as a head judge because it just adds so much more pressure and workload into it. It's not ideal. It's a scenario fixer. It's a worst case scenario.
It gets us a result. I guess we probably wouldn't use it if we had a choice, but I think sometimes it's just better to get a result than to be pushed in and cancel a comp because of the weather. So we try and do a few little things to help ourselves out. We've started putting head judge tablets on each panel so that the panel can see the other panel's scores. So if you have a crash run and a bit of extra time on your hands and you've got a quick score away and you actually get the opportunity to watch the other judges run, then without talking about it, after your next run, you can see where that score came in. So subconsciously, you're sort of holding to that range throughout the comp. So we're trying a few little techniques to hopefully make that result better. But yeah, we're not fans.
Yeah. Yeah. We hate it. I think the riders hate it. It does get the result.
Yeah, it gets us the result, which at the end of the day is what we're all gunning for this year.
Exactly. So let's go into heat 1 of men's qualies. So first one out, we had Christoph Lechner from Germany. This was super tight on the bubble. It was a bit of a split panel between those who had him in or Wang Zihan in. So he was last one in heat 1. Both had very similar runs. Both started with a 14. Then Christoph went into a cab double 10 with a little bit of a knee hook, had a minor instability on the 14 just beforehand. Then went front double 12, back 9 melon. That had a little bit of a short grab, finished with front double 10 Indy. So missing the switchback, as did Zihang Wang, and had a couple more instabilities. That was kind of the big, say big separator, it's a tiny separator, but it's that decision that was just kind of keeping him out of finals.
Totally. And pipe, we're finding a lot more split panels and very close decisions because there is 5 hits usually. Some people prefer variety, others prefer execution. There's amplitude. There's so many different criteria that people can, I guess, lean on to justify their decision as to why they had it the way they had it. But yeah, definitely. And these bubble runs, we noticed that.
Yeah, and that was this is one of your favorite exercises that you do a lot of the time looking at those bubble runs is like go through the criteria, who wins which criteria all the way through. And this one, Christoph won the difficulty criteria, but Zihan Wang won the amplitude sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the difference of the amplitude was greater than the difference of the difficulty.
Yeah, and in pipe, amplitude it sits a little bit in difficulty as well. So it has that sort of overarching thing. It's that old saying that if going big was easy, everyone would do it. So amplitude definitely is a focus. And the athletes want it focused. It's a focus with pipe. It's hard not to. It's really easy to quantify. They're either going big or they're not.
Next one out was Jan Scherer. So did very trademark Jan back 9 double shift to start things off. And then front double 10 Indy, cab double 10 mute. Had a little wobble there before the frontside double 12 and then the frontside alley-oop. And this again came down to amplitude. Had the trig difficulty in there, had a little bit of variety with the alley-oop, but just lacking that amplitude. And as we spoke about, amplitude is sometimes king.
Yeah, and here's one, we've seen that run from him quite a lot. Like the back double 9 shifty is quite unique. It's cool for a 9 with no grab. It definitely competes with the other ones because of what it does to...
It's the only way you can get away with not grabbing your board.
Yeah, it definitely it hits a difficulty criteria because it's quite hard for a back 9. Here's cab double 10. He's got that unique dump we've sort of spoken about sometimes. He's got the alley-oop. He's got a lot of unique sort of tricks. I think with Jan, he's been injured the last year. He's coming back off an injury. I think a couple of those Swiss riders have all been hurt. And so for him, maybe that amplitude is just, he's got his run there and he's just trying to put a run down and get a score as opposed to really pushing it as you're coming back from something, which is probably that self-preservation coming in over wanting to get a result down.
Yeah. And obviously, as we said, we've still got 4 World Cups to go before you even get to the Olympics. So you kind of don't want to wrench yourself at the first World Cup of the season.
Yeah, so I think for him, it's good to get one down, a good confidence booster. It's good to know that it's all still in there, the muscle memory's there, and I'm sure we'll see a bit more from Jan in the next couple.
Could be running for back-to-back Olympic podiums. You never know. And then our next one out from Heat 2, just as our third one outside the bubble, Louis Vito. I think fair to say a fan favorite, one of the more experienced guys on the tour, always happy to hang out and kind of chat to people. He's kind of got that Valentino kind of personality sort of thing.
Definitely one of the nice guys at snowboarding. He's always there having a chat. He's always supporting the other athletes. He's a really nice guy and a friendly athlete and definitely good with the fans. You see him, the way he interacts, especially at these American events where he's kind of a big deal over here and he does it well.
Yeah. But again, just lacking on the amplitude. Has the really cool front double 10 gorilla, which is almost... no one else does that trick, and I think it's just Louis, it's his trick sort of thing. Amazing the way it just locks in both hands on the toe edge, just kind of holding on, gets the rotation round every single time. Just again, I think needed a little bit more amplitude to build into the run to get himself into finals.
Yeah, he's like, I guess you talk progression. He's always got something new, something slightly a little progressive, and the difficulty's always there with Louis. Like he does some quite difficult tricks. It's just, like you say, it's the amplitude that was lacking in that one.
Yeah, so out of the front 12 inches run here in Copper, I think. So yeah, really cool to see. That's our Heat 1 missed the bubble, kind of the first ones out. Into Heat 2, we started off another Swiss rider, David Hablutzel, also coming out of an injury. Had a really good run 1, crashed on the last hit, and then kind of tidied it up a little bit in run 2, but another one just missing amplitude.
Yeah. And again, I wonder if it is that self-preservation. Those guys coming off injury, it's a good one just to get a run down and know you can land. And then it's the confidence builder for the next one. Get a couple of them and it's building blocks into the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we'll see Habluto coming back stronger. Before his injury was very much top of the field, something was battling for podium places every World Cup. So hopefully he's on the comeback. And then another one out, again, another Swiss rider. So it wasn't the best week for the Swiss, unfortunately. But Jonas Hasler, which I think Jonas is one of those that is competing on both slope and pipe. Relatively newcomer to, let's say, the top level of World Cups. He's been on and around the World Cups recently, but this is his first time getting close to finals.
Totally. He is one of the only ones doing it at that. He mixes it pretty good on Instagram too. He's often dropping some cool clips. Yeah, it's a good result for him.
Yeah, and has a very unique backflip Japan to fakie kind of thing, which doesn't add a huge amount of difficulty into the run, but adds a little bit of personal flair.
Yeah.
And that's what we see from a lot of the riders, whether it's Jan with the alley-oop or Kaishu with the McTwist at the start of the run. It's like every rider's got their own kind of little personality trait mixed into the run. And that one's obviously Jonas's. Did try the front 12 at the end of the run, just kind of short grabbed and kind of opened up a little bit. So docked a little bit for execution. So he's got that kind of technical difficulty there or thereabouts, just trying to tidy it up with the execution and the altitude. And then our next one out, we have Christoph Lechner's brother, Florian Lechner. Very cool back seven to start the run, but just lacked the trick difficulty further on down the run. At the end of the day, we've seen the standard of pipe riding just kind of skyrocket over the past 4 months sort of thing. So
Yeah,
trick difficulty's kind of got to get matched.
It's crazy this season. And you just see how we're standing up on the side of the wall the other day and just the amount of front double 12s well over my head was just incredible just on a normal training day. So there's the standards there this year. Yeah, we're going to see some stuff. It's going to be interesting as they start to land those runs.
We're going to have our work cut out, I reckon.
We already do have our work cut out, and the crew did in Secret Garden. It's pipe's tough.
It is, yeah.
It's incredible. It's the blue ribbon event, pipe. I think at the last few Olympics, it's been one of the most watched events. It's easy for the crowd or for the armchair critic to watch and kind of see what's going on there. And
it is. I think it is the fan favorite. It's the most exciting to watch. It's probably the most gnarly. It's such a precision sport. We see some huge crashes, which is never nice to see. But when it works and you see people pop out the top of the pipe, huge 20 feet of amplitude and land perfectly in, you can see that's a skill beautifully well done.
Yeah, and I think maybe just the fact that it's right there in front of you too. It's so good for a crowd, and you don't have to worry about camera switches. You don't have to worry about anything. If you're live, you can see the whole lot as opposed to slope style and big air. Now the jumps are so big. If you're live, you don't get to pick up a lot. So pipe's definitely a good one to watch.
For sure. Which takes us into what was a pretty exciting pipe finals in Secret Garden. A little bit of weather issue kind of coming in there, some fresh snow overnight. So wasn't quite as picture perfect as it was for Quali's day. Still ran really nicely. The pipe's still beautiful, still very well shaped. So we saw a very decent show.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of fresh snow and some light winds, but these guys, it doesn't affect them. They throw down regardless, it seems. And the runs here are just testament to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're no strangers to tricky conditions in pipe. It's a couple of like standouts in terms of those that didn't quite make the podium. We had Ryusei Imada, who again we spoke about a bunch in the recap episode of Halfpipe last season because he just appeared on the scene and just showcased what he's got. Really.
Yeah, it comes with the variety. He's doing stuff that we haven't seen before in a halfpipe. There's so much unique stuff he's been doing in the preseason. So it's not a surprise to see him there. I think he was on the podium last year in pipe a couple of times. So yeah, Ryusei was in fifth and it was a split panel, but Pat Bergner in fourth just got the nod from a few judges. At the bottom, Ryusei opened up on a switch backflip to regs that just was lacking a little bit of amplitude, and I think he had a little bit of an instability on his cab 14, like really minute, but that just, gave Pat the nod for fourth place.
Yeah, tiny differences make big impacts in scoring. Pat Bergner, fourth place, just off the podium. Great result for Pat. First time competing as a Brazilian at the World Cup, which is quite cool to see. Obviously represented Switzerland for a long time. And he's one of the guys that's got variety has kind of been his thing. He might not be able to match the level of trick difficulty that we've seen from some of the Japanese flying squadron, but it kind of started his run with the switchback 10 and into the back double chuck. So has that variety across different directions and different axes as well.
And variety on the grab too. That double chuck he goes melon to Indy too. It's quite unique. So, and it's not Some of the double grabs we've spoken about on those apps over the past it's a tap to a grab to get you in an axis or a spin that may help. It's a double chuck. The first one's melon and the second one's indie. So it's two separate tricks, and how, I guess, when you're looking at perfect execution, how a double grab should be done.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen him take that. Well, we saw him try to take that back double chuck from a 9 to a 10. So coming out switch, and that's why that grab change from melon to indie just helps set the shoulders into the right direction to get that last kind of very blind back 180 down into the pipe. So if he adds that into the run, then obviously that just brings up that level of difficulty, and we'll see how that shapes the rest of his run. So great to see Pat kind of back towards the top of the podium sort of thing. He's been in finals a bunch recently. We haven't seen that many good results as we did there. So great way to start the season for Pat Bergner.
Totally. And that takes us into the podium. And for this one, it's one of those podiums that was quite a bit above the rest. And it's, when you look at the criteria, you could flip on all of those three. Depending on who you talk to, most people I've spoken to afterwards, nearly everyone has a different winner or a different first or second place. So all three were incredible runs. All three had unique things that set them apart from the other, some form of MBD or something amazing, or some execution of the criteria, I guess. So whether that be amplitude, progression, difficulty, each one of these three runs hit those sort of things.
And as a head judge, if you had any of these three in first place with the right justification, you'd probably be pretty happy.
Totally, which takes us into third. And I guess I'll do a little judging exercise, which if we would do at a clinic or something. And on this one, it was Ruka Hirano. He came out with an 89 points, and it was an incredible run. On paper, it was as good a half pipe run as we've ever seen. He started off with an MBD, a switch backside dub 14, which nobody's ever done in the pipe. We didn't know if we were ever going to see it. We've already been saying how fewer people had switch backside, higher number of rotations compared to triple corks, and now he's going 14s on a switch backside, which is mind-blowing.
We haven't even seen backside 14s. So suddenly seeing the switchback version, like, okay, cool, that's always been considered the more difficult direction to spin off. Getting the 14 round, and executionally, it's picture perfect. You could look at it and see a 10.
Yeah.
Because it's so smoothly done. It's gets the rotation in the last dump, coming in very blind, head very close to the lip, but straight in. And Ruka nailed it in finals for sure.
Yeah, so to start with that, then into a back double 12 mute, front double 14 indie, cab double 14 mute, and a backside alley-oop 5. So when you look at that as a combo, it's incredible. He was the first time anyone's ever done 3 14s in a pipe. He had an MBD at the top. As far as progression, it's definitely there because it's 3 14s in a pipe. Difficulty's there because, again, that combo. Execution was there. Variety was there. He actually had 5 directions because he did all 4 primaries plus that alley-oop down the bottom. So he really ticked everything. Amplitude was there. I just think potentially the other two above him had slightly better amplitude, especially when you're watching pipe front on, which is why, after all those good reasons why I've given you that he probably could have won, he wasn't in first. And I think that the amplitude would play key in that.
And he still had the back double 12 in there as like middle of his combo sort of thing. You could probably have forgiven him to do the MBD 14 and then the back-to-back 14s afterwards, to just do the backside 9, which is kind of the
breathe up for those guys.
For those guys, very much a breather trick, but to still hammer out the backside double 12, which we've seen so many riders struggle with even now, actually getting that full rotation round clean enough to then go into a 14 is impressive.
Totally. And I wasn't at that one, but I wonder if too, with the pipe, there's so much we see as the pipe starts to taper off there. Like Ayumu did it himself. He did a massive 14 down the bottom. And I think those last tricks, Yuto did it last year in China when he did a triple. Those last tricks have so much impact. So going alley-oop 5 may have just sort of been one of those factors that didn't have that run jumping up into first.
I think that's the thing when you got 3 runs like we've seen from our podium athletes here, like they're all full of technical difficulty. They're all well executed. They're all a good amplitude. They're all progressive. They've all got the variety in. That backside alley kind of rodeo at the end just is that little sticking point where you can't give it up. Because it's only the 5. If it was the 9 and a good amplitude, then it would hold that reward on its own. But I think it's one of those minor sticking point when you're looking at 3 very good runs that are all very close. It is that bit that you kind of see things, actually, maybe it's not quite worthy enough of that top step.
And you've spoken about how I often compare run criteria by criteria. We go progression, amplitude, variety, execution, difficulty. I often do a count back on tricks too. So who won the first hit? Who won the second hit? Do they cancel each other out on the third? Who won the fourth? And who won the fifth? And if you're using that technique, then you're comparing 14s with 5s on that last hit. So, yeah, just another way to split it. And in second, we had Yuto Totsuka.
Yeah, 90.25. Another one with an MBD. Had the for MBD in World Cup. We've never seen the front double 16 tail before, which is sick. He made it look easy. He made it look like a 12. You blink and you miss it. You could easily have just thought he did the 12, but actually one extra rotation there. Similar to what we talked about with Veruca's switchback 14. It's kind of get the rotation in earlier and then a very blind dump to come out of it. Tiny wobble on the landing, but you'd kind of forgive that with a front double 16.
Yeah, and an MBD too. And then, like you say, it does look like a 12, and he dumps that crippler at the end, which is where you can lose a bit of the rotation and then lands super blind. So to see another MBD on the podium, it was an impressive comp, this one.
Yeah, and he had good amplitude all the way throughout the run, which is what we're used to seeing from Yuto Totsuka. I started again with the switchback 12. We've talked about how in previous episodes how we see more people doing triples than we do switchback 12s, just to kind of highlight the actual, whilst it might not have the wow factor of the triple, has the technical difficulty behind it. So has all four directions, has a good amplitude, has the MBD in there, so very close to that top step.
Yeah, and you talk progression, difficulty, variety. He had 3 12s in the run. He had 4 directions, plus the front 16 tail, so the difficulty's there. The amplitude was there. Yeah.
And again, combo-wise, switched up 12 to cab up 14 to front up 16 to back double 12 to front up 12. Like, we know, I think we talked about this in one of the episodes, we no longer see that the Shaun White skyhook pause breather in the middle of the run. It's just hell of a combo start to finish.
Yeah, and he always uses that last hit. Doesn't matter if the pipe's finishing on him, he's always going to throw his trick right down the bottom and get his run regardless of how much pipe's left on him.
Yeah. If you look at that trick for trick versus Ruka, they both have the switched up at the start of it. They then mix kind of the backed up 12. They're in both runs. It's just at different places. They both got the 14s in there. And then you look at that last hit, front up 12 indie compared to backside alley rodeo 5. And that's where we're then talking about this comparison run. When everything is like sick all the way through, you then start to look trick versus trick, front up 12 indie versus backside alley 5. That one's kind of a no-brainer on paper.
And I still have a massive argument for Ruka on paper, but I feel like that's where the amplitude comes into this. There was, looking at it, Yuto was just slightly up on amplitude, which takes us into first place.
Cool. So no stranger to tops at the podium. Won the Olympics on that exact same pipe. Ayumu Hirano with a 93.5.
When you talk amplitude with Ayumu, he has lots of it. And then the other thing with this one is he came with the variety as well. He's really brought it to the table. That's one thing when you look at some of the bigger podiums over the last few years, there's been one thing lacking. It's like the elephant in the room for Ayumu. The amplitude's there, the difficulty's there, the progression's there, but he's had no switch backside. And first hit this time, he came out with a switchback 12 nose.
Yeah, which isn't quite an NBD, but is at least an RBD, rarely been done sort of thing.
Yeah, and not been done like that. Not at that height with that level of execution. It was a pretty special switch backside. So to come out and finally have that one thing that he hasn't had that those other two on the podium have had for years, and then to do it like that was impressive.
Yeah, very much a standout kind of thing. And that's something we talked about at the Beijing Olympics 3 years ago, sort of thing, when it was the Ayumu versus Scotty. Ayumu had the triple, Scotty had the variety because he had the two heel side hitch for the switchback 12 and the back 12. Ayumu was very much front triple, cab, then had the backside 12, and that was the weaker element of the run. So now actually to come into this season, Olympic qualification, with 2 heel side hits, the switchback dub 12 and the back dub 12, just, I would say, brings Ayumu's name back up into that kind of realm of ones to watch for the Olympics.
Totally. So after starting with that, he went into cab dub 14 mute, front dub 12 Japan, which there was something about this one, the way he grabbed Japan and the axis that Japan puts him into and the height. There was just something about that front 12 that, as for talking to most people, it's one of the better front 12s anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, super unique. Then followed up with the back 12 and then the front dub 14 tail. What I find really interesting from this kind of podium, we didn't see a triple.
He went for it in his last run instead of the front dub 14, but couldn't put it down. It was a DNI, I think. So.
Yeah. But just having to, Ayumu, very worthy winner at the end of the day. The whole podium were, as we said before, you could have racked them whichever way you'd liked and would be quite happy with the outcome.
Yeah. I guess the big one with Ayumu was the execution. After the back double 12, he had that distinct double edge change. It did affect the overall flow of his run. Whilst that's something that would usually affect amplitude, it didn't affect it too much. I'm sure being Ayumi, he probably would have gone bigger, but it just, as far as execution goes, it wasn't flawless. And then coming into the front dub 14 down the bottom, he ran out of pipe and as a result slightly under-rotated it as well. So he ticked the criteria. Amplitude was way bigger than the other two on the podium. Difficulty was there. He had the switchback 12, the unique front dub 12, but just, for me, there was a little bit of executional flaw in there, shall we say.
Yeah, which could have been that big talking point post-event for sure.
And hence why I say the podium could be flip-flopped either way. There's justifications for each. He had the amplitude, had the difficulty, but execution was lacking, and both those other two have criteria.
Yeah, totally. So here's a full balance of all the criteria. Depends which one you focus on. So that was our kind of podium for Secret Garden. Huge step up in the standard riding that we've seen. We've seen MBDs across the podium. Couple more standouts that we didn't get to talk to beforehand. Suichiro Shigeno is probably one of the more notable ones, backside dub 16. We talked about Yuto's front double 16. To the backside wall, wow. It's probably the best way to say that.
Totally. It's a different one. And that just goes to show the overall standing of riding that day, like the amount of new tricks we saw and the difficulty in those new tricks to start putting them down in comp was incredible.
Yeah, the only thing you can kind of say against Suichiro is that it's a very short grab. It's very much gets the rotation and then gets that very late stale grab, which is just that execution that we're having to balance with the difficulty. I guess another one, Cam Melville-Ives.
Yeah, he's an exciting rider to watch. All the riders say it, and definitely this one was one of those runs that sort of has you hanging on the edge of the seat. We weren't judging this one, and we were all watching it in a little watch party, and it was cool to see his take on a half pipe, the alley-oops, the variety, the triples in there. I guess you could talk through some of your
so he had back-to-back, not back-to-back, had two alley back double rodeos in the run, one backside, one switch backside. Sadly, didn't land the switch backside right at the end. But again, the run built beautifully just that trick, and it was building and building, and then sadly crashed out of it. But had front triple 14 in there as well. First run, amplitude was sick. Second run, I'm amazed he got the triple round. Both times landed super cleanly, but the second run was definitely coming back into the pipe before he started that third dip. So fair play to Cam for landing that one. But the first run one was picture perfect. One of the best triple 14s we've seen.
And this is someone that didn't have it last season. So he's gone and learned that over summer, but the way he executes that in competition for the first time he's ever done it in competition was incredible. He seems to have that almost more dialed than some of the others. You said it yourself, was the way he seems to get it done is amazing.
Because we've watched Ayumu do the triple, always seems to under-rotate a little bit, kind of comes in a little bit heel edge heavy before he switches. Cam is onto that toe edge, that uphill edge, straight to land. Well, both times we saw it in finals. So that was really cool to see. Shout out to Cam Melville-Ives, because that could have mixed the podium up had he got that last switchback alley double rodeo in there.
Yeah, and goes to show what an incredible comp. Just NBDs, good riding, good pipe. Even though the weather wasn't as great as it was for qualies, it was, it's a great start of the season.
I think we've got some exciting pipe World Cups over the next 5 weeks, which will be sick. And then we'll see how it plays out in the big Olympics, obviously. So that's a bit of a wrap up for Secret Garden.
Totally. The Copper finals tomorrow. We're going to aim to get that ep out sometime before Calgary.
We'll aim to get Copper out before we get to Christmas, so we can have a bit of a Christmas break for sure.
Yeah, totally.
And then you're abandoning me for Calgary, so I'll have to do that one on my own. And then we'll probably pick that one, that episode up into the new year sort of thing. But yeah, Copper finals tomorrow, our time. This could be going out after Copper finals is actually gone, so make sure you tune into Fizz TV on YouTube with the VPN to Australia, just so you can see how that's going down. Looks like a good stage that's been set. We've got Chloe in the mix. We've got Gaon in the mix on the women's side of things. Yuto, Ruka, Chase Josie, etc. in the men's side of things. So still, we're missing a few of your Ayumus and Scotties, etc. But still looks to be a very good final tomorrow. Yeah,
and the pipe's riding good. Looks like the weather's here. We had a little bit of wind yesterday, but hopefully the wind's dropping tomorrow for finals.
So should be pretty sick. But I guess that's everything from us. Make sure if you're enjoying the pod, give us a review on Spotify or Amazon or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you follow along, send to all of your snowboard friends, and feel free to buy us a coffee. If you feel like we're doing the wonderful work of snowboarding right here in the least liked role in the sport, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/ontheduckle, and you can contribute and help myself and Beggsy stay awake for our long flights home on Sunday. That's about it from us. Follow us on social media as well. We're putting out more clips as we can through the training sessions. We'll try to give you some behind the scenes as we go throughout the season as well. So anything else to add, or do you reckon that's pretty good coverage?
I think that's great. Get into finals tomorrow and catch you soon.
Sweet. We'll see you for the copper episode. Ciao for now.